All right. What up, YouTube? This is Taboo Lexicon. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm joined here with Ocho Blanco and Clee. Is it Clee Clark? Am I saying that right? And you will notice that Judgment Awaits is not with us tonight. And by not with us, I don't really mean like not with us. He's still alive. Uh, he Judgment caught the early bird special at Cracker Barrel earlier, and he went ahead and called it a night with all the other retired folks. So we're gonna miss him. We're gonna catch him next weekend, though. He sends his love and whatnot. Actually, I think he's spending time with family this
Yeah.
week. So some much needed family time. I think he's hanging out with his dad, and I think he was preaching today and everything. So it's got a lot going on. So welcome. We've got a lot to cover today. We're going to be covering some CSGO Lotto stuff that's been kind of blowing up on YouTube this week. We're going to be covering the civil unrest that's been occurring across the country here in the U.S., and we're going to merge that into a faith topic that we've got prepared for you. Of course, Christian question and answer like we do every week. So if you've got questions, post them in the chat. Please don't spam the chat. Please don't spam the chat. Keep it civil. Be polite. Be nice. Keep it PG. We got youngins in this chat. So without further ado, Ocho, tell us who you are and what you're playing.
Hey, it's Ocho. Been playing. Let's see. Here's a pretty wide variety of stuff. I've been playing Fallout and still trying to work on finishing Fallout 4. I think I'm pretty close. I've gotten to the Institute, so I think it's not too much more after that. Still got to decide which faction I want to complete it with. 'Cause I've been doing a lot of Minutemen stuff, but I've kind of switched over to the Railroad on one of my characters, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which one I'm going to complete it with, but may even complete with the Institute, which I heard is probably like the evil version, but I don't know. Um, let's see. I've been playing some Black Ops 3 since they put in some of those contracts, so it's kind of fun to go after those now. It's like getting 100 kills in a day, and some of the specialists have special contracts when you get the I want to say loot crates, the supply drops, whatever. And so you get like special gear for that character if you complete their, I think it's a bribe contract or something like that. Yeah, so that's mostly it. Black Ops 3, Fallout 4. Been playing a little bit of Overwatch still. Yeah.
Still enjoying Overwatch?
Yeah, not as much as before. It's like they added a competitive mode since last week, so I've been playing that, and it was kind of reminds me a little bit of League play in Black Ops 2. So they give you like a rank of based on your wins and losses, and I think there's some they actually talk more about like their the structure they have for ranking people, and there's a lot more than Black or Treyarch ever did in Black Ops 2 or any of the other League play options. But they went really in depth in describing like how they rank stuff, and I kind of got bored with it, so I just kind of quit reading because it was a pretty long article. But it's interesting, like all the things that they consider, like if you have a really bad game, like sometimes they know that like you might be tired, or it's add in there drunk, or maybe you had to leave in the middle of the game because you had an emergency going on in your house or something. So they kind of like put all those things into consideration. So it's kind of interesting to see like the developer's standpoint of like how they do their ranking, but. But yeah, like one of the things is like, which is better than what Black Ops 2 ever had, was that if you have teammates that leave, it lets you leave without a penalty, because they are really serious about the penalties. Like I think you can't log in if you get dropped from too many games or leave too many games. So I think some people were complaining that their network connections were bad and they were getting dropped, but
Dang.
I haven't really had any problems with it, other than like if you get down one round, sometimes your teammates will leave and then you still try to finish the game
Mm-hmm.
down a player, and that usually doesn't turn out very well. But other than that, I mean, it's a fun game, and like, it's a lot of fun when you're winning. But if you don't have a team with you, it's a little more difficult.
That seems to be the case in general with with online gaming, doesn't it? Like the teammate situation.
Yeah, I feel like in Black Ops or like Call of Duty, it seems like you can kind of one man it more. Like you can, like people are going for the 70 kill challenge in TDM, and like people do that. Um, so yeah, you're basically carrying a team at that point. But I don't think you can really do that very well in Overwatch because there's so many variety of characters and too many counters, and like not every character can break through where someone has a turret. Like Because some characters have more light or more what's a shield or lives or what's it called? Like they can take more hits than other characters. So like not every character can break through there, but the ones that can break through sometimes don't have enough power to destroy the stuff on the point. So
Yeah,
it's very balanced that way.
nice. I feel like if anybody's gonna put out a balanced game or make a game become balanced, if it's not out of the gate, then it's gonna be them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely a strong suit though. Is that it has like a very dominant like focus on teamwork because you play pretty much every game like Ocho was saying, Call of Duty, and like you can kind of like do everything yourself, but there's only a certain character that works in a certain situation, and if it's not all working in unison, it crumbles. So
Yeah,
Overwatch.
that makes sense. I feel like there's been a lot of games lately, even back to Titanfall. Titanfall felt like you could kind of casually play Titanfall, but it was real easy, especially after the game was out for about a month and a half and started thinning out. It was like if you didn't have a team playing Titanfall, it got pretty hard to be competitive. So there was that one, and you can do okay in COD, but Destiny, man, it's kind of hard to lone wolf in Destiny. But you guys probably don't know anything about that, do you?
Oh, definitely not. No, like it was hard for me when the game started, so I
Yeah.
was like, man, I was running with the what was it like the basic auto rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and like everyone else is having like weird revolvers and stuff, and I'm thinking like, man, the assault rifle is like the go-to weapon. Like, why are you
Yeah.
shooting with the pistol? And
Yep.
I mean, I got wrecked, so like I kind of just put the game down. I didn't know what to do.
Those hand cannons were, hey, dry bones. Those hand cannons were overpowered, especially the Thorn for like over a year. Like the first year of the game was dominated by those things. But I guess we can talk about Destiny more when there's something actually fun to talk about with Destiny. But hey, I was wondering if you'd hit us with a dab like you did in your vlog
Ah.
today.
I'm kind of like I get jabbed with that all the time, and you know what? I feel like it's an addiction. Like it just every time. You know what? I'm not gonna talk about it. I talk about it.
Dab
It
is
becomes a
anonymous.
thing.
I picture you like when you jump on the Minecraft server and you like type in go to spawn. I picture you dabbing every time you do that. Like go to spawn, dab.
All right, we're good.
What about you, Clee? What are you playing right now?
Uh, I was playing for a hot minute Dark Souls. One of my friends bought it for me,
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted me to, I guess, feel the rage that game brings upon you. And I've definitely felt it. I've seen Ocho in a couple of streams watching me cry and be like a little baby. But it's mainly been Dark Souls and CS. I've been playing Overwatch off and on. I haven't started the competitive because I do want to get like a good team together and then actually kind of hit it head on.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as gaming, I haven't been really doing too much of that. Mainly been trying to edit and I guess I don't know. I'm trying to be more real life, but my antisocial tendencies kind of grab me back.
I feel you. Well, let's see. I guess since you're kind of like, I don't know, Ocho, do you play CSGO at all?
I've played bots in CS:GO,
All right.
so I'm still trying to learn the mouse keyboard thing, and I haven't gotten the controller to work on it. So
It takes a
uh,
lot of work to make the controller, and it's not even worth it at that point.
yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Well, Clee, why don't you tell us what's going on with the CSGO Lotto thing and YouTube and everything?
Okay, so let me just start with the basic premise of how CS skins even gained their value. And it all started back whenever Valve had released CSGO, is the successor, 1.6 and all that stuff. Well, to source more, but it was supposed to be the new big game. And they realized that their community was like trash. Like no one wanted to play the game. Everyone was still going back to source because they enjoyed its mechanics more. And they really were trying to find a way to kind of freshen up or make it more pleasing to the general crowd, and that's when they started introducing skins. And skins are kind of like other Steam items, such as like Steam trading cards or stuff like that. You could actually sell them, like just like you would any other item, any other sort of like thing you would earn from the game,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't actually gain their value because that's what Valve set them as being. It was that people, when they started to like roll these like high like level skins like reds and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
they realized just how scarce they were, and so they would put it on the Steam market, which, like I said, Steam opened it up just like any other item. You can sell it on there, and they would make it ridiculously high prices. And at the time, all you could do was sell those skins just for like Steam money. It's like you sell this and you get Steam Wallet, so you can buy more games, whatever. Well, these websites starting to pop up. Websites like CSGO Wild, CSGO Diamond. Diamonds is a little bit newer, but get my point.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to start kind of like making even greater market from it because they were realizing just how much money that they were pulling in. And so Steam finally just opened it up, saying like, hey, you know what? If you want to send your skins to these places, you can. Like instead of getting like Steam credit,
Mm-hmm.
and that ended up not only removing the sort of like kind of cap of like these are just game items and really gave them a monetary value because they kind of became like bitcoins. It's just another form of digital currency.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, these websites began to flourish, lots of black markets, and that's how World CS betting even came to be a thing, is that Steam kind of allowed it. They said, hey, go ahead and go about it. And now there's well, I guess you all know. Sleepy time. CSGO Lotto got caught up in doing some very shady stuff.
Yeah.
And it was the two owners of the company were sponsoring themselves in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently that's illegal. I guess you can't do that. And they were telling their viewers that hey, this is an awesome website. You can go there, bet these skins, and make lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
And people were going there, including like underage individuals. Even though like on the website it specifically says you have to be 18 in order to bet, but of course, being the internet, you can't really mitigate that very well.
Mm-hmm.
And just standard betting sites, like they weren't really any different from any other site,
Mm-hmm.
except for the fact that they didn't state Tom Syndicate or T Martin. They didn't state that they were the owners of it, and that's why this is even an issue. Is that they misrepresented their company, and
It seems like there's two main issues, right? Like creating a platform for underage gambling, and then also just being disingenuous about the fact that they're owners and they're promoting it on their YouTube channels and their Twitch streams and stuff, right? Yeah.
that's the problem.
So my introduction to this whole issue was a video by H3 Productions, and he kind of ran it down, and I was kind of surprised by the whole situation, and it was really kind of a damning video, if you will, because like he kind of took some of the things that had been said already, like he laid it out just like you did. And then he showed that T Martin was an owner, and then he played a video clip of T Martin talking about, he's like, yeah, this company approached me on Twitter and asked me if I'd check them out or whatever, and talking about this particular site. And so in his video, he's like acting like he's like a third party, and they just approached him or whatever. And then H3 was like, well, it turns out this guy's been the owner since the beginning. He's like the president. He filed the papers or whatever. And so, like, on the ethical side or the integrity side, it's just like, wow, like he messed up. Like, to me, it's obvious, right? And then, like, you got the legal aspect of it that kind of, that I'm unsure about. Like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like it's super, super easy for a 13-year-old to go on there and really effectively gamble, right? You could get real money for these skins, so.
Right, yeah, like there's weapons on there that are worth like $3,000, like legit.
What's
I'm
this
serious.
website again?
CSGO Lotto, you never lose there.
That?
Well, I mean, not really. You can just get a bunch of cases and then open them, and most of the like really expensive weapons are just knives. Like I think it's like a knife like Black Pearl. It's just like a different colored knife than all the others. Is literally worth like $2,000 or $3,000. Like it's just like. It's not even really that these items have that value. It's just that people like made them so significant because they're considered to be rare. It's just like any other sort of antique or item like that. But the fact that they chose to abuse that sort of, I mean, I don't even know if abuse is the right word, because like to my knowledge, I never knew that was illegal. I didn't know you could own a company and not say you don't own it, or like not directly
I'd say,
state that you
yeah.
own it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't think that was a problem. But I guess after reading through some stuff, um, it is like advertisement is a whole lot more stringent than I ever thought it was. Like I just think, yeah,
Yeah,
like
that,
I
I was
guess
reading an article saying there's like the amount of money. It was kind of surprising, like $2.3 billion in let's see, what was the other article? Um, yeah, like $2.3 billion. That's how much Bloomberg reports the market for Counter-Strike global offensive betting is worth.
good
Like that's
lord.
just
I'm not kidding you. Like they're having like thousands and thousands of dollars circulate daily. There's people who their entire career is betting CS skins. I'm not even kidding when I say that. Like they bet skins on like matches, like pro players like Fnatic and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they make their money. That's how they pay their bills is through these betting sites.
Wow.
It's yeah, it's astounding to say the least.
I can't believe it's $2.3 billion industry.
Yeah.
That's
just
huge, man. There's like what was it? What was the company Dr. Dre and Johnny, what's his name, had together? Was it Beats?
Just beats.
And
Beats.
Apple bought them for like $1 billion.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you got
And they
CSGO
owned like I
Lotto.
think Monster before that.
Do what?
Like it was Monster Beats, and then it was Beats.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
think at this point, like it's worth even more than. I know the Bitcoin market has dropped significantly, but I think like it's definitely worth a significant amount more than that. I may be wrong, but to my knowledge,
So,
is it,
do you guys think T Martin and Syndicate will kind of like weather this storm in terms of like their YouTube audience and their Twitch following and stuff?
I think definitely like financially they're more than fine. Syndicate, you can already tell like his likes to dislike ratios are like finally starting to kind of settle back to where they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
T Martin, unfortunately, I think he's a shot in the dark because the way he chose to even approach the issue whenever it was brought up
Mm-hmm.
was just. I'm just gonna simply put it. It was wrong. It wasn't. No. Okay. Let me remove my feelings from it. Let me remove my feelings. Yeah. It wasn't considered to be optimal because you look at Syndicate. Whenever like immediately like everything hit the fan, he was like, "Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try and be more transparent in the future." And then T Martin immediately discloses these videos saying like, hey, it's always been there, or hey, it's
Mhm.
always like, like I was never really lying, and the audience didn't really cater to that very well, and because of that, you can see that like he has a significant amount of dislikes in comparison to his like ratio.
Mhm.
He's still getting a lot of views. If anything, he's probably getting even more views because of this,
Yeah.
which is kind of like, but at the same
Pays
time, they're
legal
not
bills.
like, yeah, like oh man, I guess I'm gonna have to fund this by being a jerk more, yeah, like that definitely caused. I think I don't know if T Martin will, but Syndicate is definitely he's gonna be fine. Like he,
It seems like T Martin's in the Call of Duty community of where there's a lot of like people trying to hunt down and expose people, and you have the drama alerts and all that kind of stuff going on. So it's like people are already there, like looking for blood, and
Yeah.
so when something like that comes out within the community, it's like it's going to be like I think people were going after like Biblical Reaper for a while, and like his likes and dislikes were kind of up there too, and he's been growing, and I think he'll probably weather it. It's just whether he feels like coming back to seeing all that every day.
Yeah.
At least it goes away, or if there's legal action, maybe that's another issue as well.
right?
Definitely. It seems like what was that? What was that channel that did the videos about the reaction videos?
Oh,
That channel, Fine Bros. Is that what it was?
Fine Bros.
yeah.
Fine
Yeah.
Bros.
They took a huge hit with subscriber count. It just like was a massive drop off, and then after a while, the news kind of settled down and they picked back up, and it's almost like you get to a certain get out of jail free card. It's almost like if your channel's a certain size, like it's got its own gravity, and like it seems I have a feeling that they'll both kind of like bounce back if they want to, as long as they're not in jail or something. If they did something that's going to put them in jail. Obviously, they won't be posting from jail. But somebody, did you guys see? If you follow Thunder on Twitter, did you see what people were saying?
Yes.
About T Martin, it's like, yo guys, this is my first day at jail. I'm so excited to post this.
I'm gonna make it my
So
YouTube.
funny. All right, see you, Skeletor. Hope you have a good night. Leaving this stream, I'll tell you what.
See, my only thing is, I think like it may end up for T Martin how it is with Drama Alert. Even though he gets a lot of views,
Mm-hmm.
he might receive more negativity than positive. But then again, the sort of like work and video he does, it may be the same thing, like you said with the Fine Bros, that eventually he'll just kind of like, all right, whatever. He messed up. People still like to watch his stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're doing, do y'all call it vlogs or you call it vlogs? What do you call it?
I like to call it recording my life so I don't sound too mainstream. But
I
yeah,
figure it's like
vlogs.
vlogs. It's not like
It is
vlogs.
I say
or
vlog. Yeah. That's right.
It is vlog. It's vlog.
I wonder, Fine Bros, they have their own kind of niche kind of video that they do. I guess they don't do vlogs like T Martin don't do. Like I would find it really hard to watch a T Martin vlog after this. You know what I mean? Like I'd feel like I couldn't trust him for a while. But I might still watch a COD 2016 video of his. 'Cause he's got that inside
Right.
scoop or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the other question is the people he partners with, like Activision and all these COD developers and stuff. Do you think he's gonna wind up? They're gonna like give him the cold shoulder for a while?
I mean, I hope not. But if they do continue to partner with him, that could kind of look bad on their part.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like their view in the economic realm, they may, but with the amount of, I mean, I'm not saying it's solely T Martin's fault why there's so many more COD players or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I think like he's definitely encouraged a pretty large fan base. So I don't think they would exactly really kind of get rid of him or like
Mhm.
ignore him for too long. If anything, they may kind of step back, let this all blow over, and just kind of like, all right, hey T Martin, you still doing okay?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
still got all the subs? Because we sure would like to reach out to him.
Yeah. So overall, he'll in terms of Activision, he'll probably be fine.
Yeah, I can see that. Pepsi did that with Ludacris a while back. Ludacris had an endorsement deal. I think it was with Pepsi, and I think it was Bill O'Reilly on Fox News made a big stink about it, and I think they dropped Ludacris as a result. There was a kind of like a public outcry, and like people were like, "We don't want to promote that kind of lifestyle or whatever." And but like that kind of thing only dips for a little while until the heat goes away, and then they do whatever they want to do. So I think you're right on that for sure. All right,
I don't
so
be doing very many supply drop videos. I guess the stuff was on his second channel, I guess. So I never even saw. I watched some of his news on like COD and stuff on his first channel, but like the CSGO stuff was on his second channel. I didn't even know about it
yeah,
until.
I'm gonna be honest, as a content creator, or I don't know, might be more honest to say a former content creator. Whenever I would see those guys, and it'd be like 3 days before a game releases, and they're like posting new footage of it, like I'd always be like, dang it, and so to see that potentially take a hit, like it on the darker side of me, it's kind of like, kind of happy to see it, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's not going to change anything, and that's not the right way to feel about the situation. But if T Martin goes away, they'll just pick up the next guy. I mean, it won't be Thunder, but it'll be somebody else.
Yeah, it
Like
definitely
Drifter got
won't be
picked up.
Thunder.
It's just a practice that's just going to keep happening because it sells games, and that's what they want to do. You guys want to get into this civil unrest we've been watching on the news?
Yeah.
So, man, there's so much to cover. If you haven't been paying attention to the news too much, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually probably healthier to live life that way. Just do your thing. But had a couple of really unfortunate incidents. Two individuals lost their lives due to the use of lethal force by police. Alton Sterling and forgive me if I mess up the name, Philando Castile. One in Baton Rouge and one in somewhere in Minnesota, I believe it was. And then somewhat in response to that, we had a shooting in Dallas, which is where Ocho's from. Ocho didn't shoot anybody. He just happens to live there. But we lost 5 police officers to a shooter there. I think he shot 11 or 12 people. A couple of them were civilians, and 5 of the police officers didn't make it. So it's been not necessarily a stressful time, but it has been a stressful time for this nation. But kind of just a gut wrenching, heartbreaking time, and a lot of back and forth going on. If you pay attention on Twitter or you watch the news, it's kind of set up as a black versus white thing, or a cop versus black thing, and I thought it'd be a good idea just to maybe just share what you're thinking about it. And if you're in the chat and you got questions about what happened or your own thoughts, please of course keep them civil, but post it. We want to know what you're thinking. So what's your guys' take on what's been going on lately?
Yeah, I actually got to see a lot of the Dallas stuff firsthand. Outside my windows, like where the protests were happening, so I could look down and see like all the people that are out there, and it looked like another protest. Like everything was going all right. You see the police out there; they're kind of around there, making sure things are safe and everything. And then, like a coworker and I were just kind of looking out the window, and then we look back maybe 10, 15 minutes later, everybody's gone. Like, so we didn't hear anything that was happening. We couldn't really hear any shots or anything, but like the shots were basically happening maybe a couple blocks away from our office. And so we look out and there's like nobody there, but then there's cop cars like all the way down the street, like we can look out and see like the intersection. Let's see, there's one going north south and one going east west, and so there's police cars like all the way down on both intersections. And so like when we start turning on the news and people start calling and asking about like what's going on, it's like, well, I was able to pull up like one of the local news stations on my phone, and so I was listening to like them covering it live, and it's amazing how much misinformation goes out there, even on like reputable news stations and stuff. But so they're saying like there were multiple snipers at some point, and they're like, I guess they had one guy I thought was a suspect, which should have been maybe labeled as a person of interest, because it was a guy that had a gun, like a rifle, and he was wearing a camouflage shirt, and he was part of the protest, but he wasn't like the shooter. But since he was carrying a gun, which Texas is an open carry state, so you can actually carry assault rifles on the street, which sounds crazy, but
What?
Well, not like fully automatic rifles.
Yeah.
No, I know, like semi-autos, yeah. Like fully automatic, completely illegal.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was down there. I've seen other protests where I think it was the last one was, but like everybody was there with open carry, so it's like all these people with like guns and stuff, and it's like, you hope for the best, and like obviously most people are peaceful, because like if everybody has a gun, then you're probably less likely to start something. But anyway,
you kind of get this picture, especially in Texas, of like this western picture where you walk down this dusty street, like, and then you walk into the doors that go like this, into the saloon, and like everybody's got a pistol on their hip, so like maybe I'm not gonna pull out my pistol and shoot up the place. That's my vision of Texas. I'm pretty sure that's how it is still, right?
No, I mean, I haven't really seen like that. The only time I've seen people open carry was like on those protest things. But it was definitely unnerving. It's like we had the shelter in place in our office, and we were basically there for 6 hours after we were supposed to go home. And so like that building was on lockdown. A lot of the other area buildings were on lockdown. There's actually still they've kind of blocked off that section of town that's still technically a crime scene. So I think they're going like building to building and checking the streets and trash cans and stuff, because the guy said there were bombs or IEDs left around the area. So even yesterday there was something where there's suspicious activity over at the police station, which is maybe a mile away from where all the action was happening Thursday. But yeah, it's still like kind of nervous. Like you look outside and there's still like police cars everywhere. There's state troopers, there's FBI, like you see all these different acronyms that people are wearing, and it's like, man.
I feel like the tension's got to be like so thick right now in the air.
Yeah. Actually, our building called I think it was yesterday or Friday, and said the police had found a device nearby, and they were exploding it with I guess, a robot or whatever they use to explode suspicious devices. And so we might hear a loud bang. And that's what the building voice message left for us. I'm like, oh,
Wow.
well, should probably stay inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely makes you think. I mean, there's a lot of like random violence that happens, but with all this like kind of racial and tension with the police and all this kind of things going on, it's like kind of a different level of stuff that this hadn't really been an issue as much at the forefront.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I give you a little bit of background for me, and it's relevant to what we're talking about, I promise. But the first church I ever went to, I was a kid, and my parents went to this church. I think it was called Grace Baptist Church, and it turns out they didn't let black people in that church. It was kind of just understood, and I guess my parents learned that and realized that that wasn't a healthy thing. So they went to another church, and that was like a country Baptist church, and this was 30 years ago. So they joined a church that was like 50-50 ratio, like black and white, and it was charismatic. So yeah, so we went from Southern Baptist, white as can be, to a 50-50 split charismatic church where they're like, speaking in tongues and slain in the spirit, all that kind of stuff. And it was just, it was a world change. But they taught us, they taught me and my siblings, if you hold the door for people, you hold it for women, but not just women, you hold it for men, women, elderly, young, black, white, whatever. You treat people how you want to be treated. And so I grew up feeling like, I'm in the South. I'm in South Georgia. Like it's as south as you can get. Like Florida doesn't count, right? So, um, and I'm feeling like I'm growing up in this southern town where that used to be a bastion of racism in the past, and seeing this kind of like post-racial present is what it felt like. Like we were moving past this kind of racial issue and things were getting better. We were treating each other the same. We were looking at each other the same. We were ignoring color. We're just living in really a colorblind society. In the last few years, it's felt like there's been less of that. And for the first time in my life, the other day, the day after the Dallas shooting, that afternoon, I felt like I was actually like seeing color. Like I felt like I was in a like a gas station, and I was getting a drink, and I was about to check out, and there's a couple of black guys in there, and I felt like they were looking at me weird, and I felt like I was looking at them weird. You know what I mean? And I just like it just hurt, to like to think that. Like I was like, man, I hope these guys don't shoot me because I'm white. I'm just being honest. I know that's a stupid way to
Yeah.
think, but just because of the tensions were so high in Dallas and how it seemed to be like a targeted thing, that's just where my mind went naturally. And I'm always in a kind of like state of awareness in public like that, because you never know what's going to happen. But it's just it hurts to think that post-racial kind of vision that I felt like I was living, just in the span of 8 hours or 12 hours, can just in the blink of an eye essentially just vanish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hope I can get back to that. I really, it makes me just want to like go find people of color, and not necessarily that, but everybody, and just like start hugging people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's been the impact on me from all of this stuff. Anyway, Clea, I'm sorry, you probably just been patiently waiting to talk, and I've just been taking up all of your
No,
time.
no, you're okay. I think my main, I guess I'd have to call it a problem with a lot of this that has happened, is mainly just the way the media continues to portray everything that's happened. Like it's either always like this one side is right and this side's wrong,
Hmm.
or like, or vice versa. And like what I'm seeing lately is that people are really emphasizing that black people are losing right now. Like that
Hmm.
black people are under fire. And while in some aspects I agree, I think it's definitely shot. Well, that was a bad
Jeez,
segue, but I
Clea.
think it was definitely.
We get some
It's,
shit too soon.
yeah, I know. It's definitely seen in a light that I think is completely diminishing the aspect of even like thinking of peace, because people
Hmm.
immediately want this sort of justice to come about it, but the thing is that it's not this person in the blue suit that's the problem. It's not this person with black skin that's the problem. It's the individual who may have caused the issue. And I think whenever we start portraying like traits, like when we just start kind of grouping people together and saying it's their fault, like that's the issue for me. And that's what I'm having so many problems dealing with this, because I want to get the straight facts. I want to know, like, inevitably what is the right, like, thing, or just the right thing to look at and gaze. But everything is just so misconstrued. Like, I can't find anything that I can really trust, like, at least in this world, in a media sense, and just like in a political sense, even when it's pertaining to what's happened. And being an African American, I have certain expectations, like, that are expected of me. Like, immediately a lot of the people, like not my immediate family, but family members who are kind of around, instantly started kind of spewing like hate speech in terms of like towards like cops and stuff, or just towards like Caucasian people. And I'm not saying I go with them, because I don't, like, that's not my view, but it's just like realizing just how, like, even on the African American side of things, or sorry, is it politically correct to say Black American now? My bad.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Black American side, they're being just as hateful. I mean, just because you have a sort of movement that is like trying to go for equality, it doesn't mean you should aim for supremacy. And I think that's like my biggest like fault in terms of just this whole Black Lives Matter movement. If it doesn't feel like a push for that, again, that sense of equality, it feels like they're trying to put our race on a pedestal, and like it's not sitting right with me. And I think that's more of just kind of the information I've gained so far, and in respects to what's happening. I mean, it could be deeper than that. I could be totally off base, but those are the sort of vibes I have. And God willing, I hope it isn't that, and it really, some positive comes out of it. Yeah. But yeah, that's my view in terms of all this. So, but nothing happens in OKC. There's actually a Black Lives Matter rally going on, I think near I-40 or something like that, or in like I don't know the general location, but there's possibilities that they could be causing, obstructions in traffic, and that could, be a legal issue. So I'm hoping nothing crazy comes from that it is peaceful, that everything goes as planned. But it does, just from what's happened recently, it's unsettling. Yeah. Just put it that way.
For sure. There's plenty of potential for violence and all kinds of things in these situations. So we got to keep our cities in prayer, for sure. Keep our officers lifted up and our citizens lifted up, for sure. You said something about pressure, and I was feeling that pressure last night or night before. The rapper KB, Christian rapper, he tweeted something, and I might have just been reading into it, but he just tweeted, it's amazing how loud silence is, or something like that. And part of the Black Lives Movement philosophy is that white silence is violence, and I don't agree with that at all. But it's like the pressure. And he that might have been out of context what he said, but the pressure incoming this direction is, you need to say something about these two guys that got killed. Like, you need to condemn these cops or whatever. And I'm not like really willing to do that, because I'm of the mindset you just wait till the facts are out, because like you guys remember Michael Brown in Ferguson, the whole hands up don't shoot thing. Like, you had NFL teams going out on the field doing hands up don't shoot. And it turns out that wasn't even the case. You know what I mean? That's just what the media ran with in the beginning, and it turns out to not be the thing. So like, I feel like I was kind of suckered on that one. You know what I mean? So like, now when something comes out and they're like, oh my God, look at this video where you can only see one half of him or whatever, and you can't see what's going on, and it just started when they tackled him or whatever. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable commenting on it and making a judgment, because there's so many questions I have when I see something like that.
Yeah, and I feel the same. Like, it's not having that certainty that stops me from even like trying to go any further in terms of like forming my own analysis, because I don't actually know what happened. like especially with like you're saying, like the videos that came out, like what happened with that the individual who was in the car with his girlfriend, and he got shot. Even though we see a black male and a cop pointing a gun into a car, immediately it looks like, wow, this cop is being violent, but we don't know what happened. We don't know if like he pulled a gun out. We don't know if he said any sort of threatening language. And though like I want to see the whole picture before anything, and it's just appalling how so many people just immediately assume the negative. And again, that's what I was even talking about, like when I was referring to media. It's just like, what do you believe? Like, what do you stand with? And yeah, go it out, Joe.
Yeah, I've seen like some of my friends on Facebook, like I think there's a element of like kind of empathy where you kind of empathize with the person that's had violence brought to them, but it's like that feeling of that could have been me. Like it it puts yourself in like all these different situations. Like, do you look at the news and see someone that gets robbed at gunpoint and say, "Oh, that could have been me," or is it just because you identify with them um, by race, or not necessarily that situation, but um, I don't know. I think when you take things too personally, that like it gives you anger that maybe you shouldn't have, because it's very unlikely that that situation is going to happen to you, because it doesn't happen really that often. But I mean, it happens more than it should probably, and it's always a tragedy when someone ends up getting killed, either um, whether it's a police officer or a civilian. Even if someone's committing a crime and they had to kill the criminal because they're causing so much violence themselves, like that's still a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to balance that. It's like, yeah, you see like 30 seconds of video and it's just the part after the person's been shot, but you don't know anything that happened before that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's like hard to, like, at least very hard to come up with like protests and something where you can be completely on I the side of the victim in that situation. But I mean, it's hard for me. Like, I don't, you just don't really know the full situation.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Paranoid, actually, he's in the chat. He said something the other night about something like so many things to keep up with, or and I got to thinking about that. We were talking about this before the live stream. In 2015, there was something like 965 lethal force, you know, cop on homicides or whatever, where the cops killed somebody, and most of them were justified, I'm sure, and some of them were unjustified. But if you think about that, that's like three a day. It's three cops killing somebody a day, and it's like if you tried to like follow every one of those, like we did with Alton or Philando, and dig into those details and watch whatever videos are out there, or whatever. Man, you couldn't even do that if that was your full time job. You know what I mean? So like, I found myself just having to like step back a little bit as the facts came out in these two cases, and I guess these two cases, because there's these like cell phone footages, that we were able to watch. Maybe that just made them more impactful, but I feel like I'd just go crazy if I tried to follow every single one of them.
Mm.
I even saw on Facebook where before they had pictures of who the shooter was in Dallas, someone posted this picture of like this white guy, as Nazi, like skinhead, white supremacist person that said that they were the shooter. It was like, and it's this suspect website where like the only thing they had was like they didn't really have anything else, any other content on their site. It was just kind of
It was like CSGO Lotto.com.
Yeah, that you never
T.
lose
Martin.
on. Click my link here.
Yeah. So like I was kind of convicted because like in my mind I had no idea like what race the shooter was going to be or whatever, but it was like I didn't really care because like he's killing people and that's like the thing. It's not like what race he was or what race the people that were dying with. It's that everybody's life matters, whether they're black, white, or whatever their profession is. Um,
It's true. I was convicted during San Bernardino when that was going down, because I was like, God, I hope that's not a white guy, like a middle-aged white guy shooting up San Bernardino, because I know the way it's going to get played in the media. You know, crazy NRA like gun nut, you know, pro-life kind of Christian or something, shooting up San Bernardino, and like I was convicted because I don't feel like that's the appropriate response to something like that. I think the first response is to like get on your knees and pray for the people of the city, you know, for their protection and their healing and everything. But that's just, you know, if I'm just being real, that's just where my brain went the first time. And when it happened in Orlando recently, I I didn't expect it to be. I didn't happen that time like it did in San Bernardino. Like my mind didn't go there. I think I had learned from that conviction, and my response was just, God help these people, you know.
Yeah.
So is there anything we can do? I mean, there's just three of us here, and then what? Handful of people watching. What can we do? What do you think?
Don't shoot anybody.
Yeah, I think that's like the big thing is that don't take in consideration that these people's lives are just as valuable as yours. But as far as like what we can physically go out and do, I think that's honestly kind of up in the air at the moment. I mean, of course we can try and be voices of reason and try and reiterate over and over again that guys, you can't just immediately jump to conclusions. Wait until everything's on the table. But as far as like being significantly influential, probably not. Beyond that, I just think the best thing, all we can honestly do is pray about it. Like I can't think of any other sort of action besides again, going out there talking about it in a reasonable sense.
Mm-hmm.
Ask God to heal this broken world and just don't shoot people. Just
Don't shoot people. That's a good first step.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any ideas? Like what could we do on an individual standpoint, or even as a group?
I think part of the thing is like even just seeing everybody as individuals first. Like don't necessarily like, oh, that's a black guy. He must have these kind of set of criteria, or have these things that every black person is like, or that all white
like
people
Jesus
are this
freak.
way. Just post something in the chat about them like doing good in Titanfall. So I don't know.
Yeah. What's up?
I'll take this opinion. I think like treating people as individuals, not just like this large group of people that like have all the same qualities. And I think there's like this kind of feel of like when black people go to the store, there's always people looking at them. It's like that might be true, but it's probably like they have like a certain experience. So you should see from their perspective as well that don't give them reason for suspecting you because you look like some of the other people that have been stealing from their store. But on the other hand, don't just assume that just because a black person walks in your store, they're stealing.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's one of those situations. It's really hard. Like one side has to give for the other really flips their perspective. So
Yeah. So just don't be racist. Don't shoot people.
there you go. Yeah. Look at the human race. We can hate dolphins all we want.
Yeah, fucking jerk dolphins.
Yeah, those things suck. Things they've done to humans, despicable.
Yep. They are kind of oppressed by orcas, though, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I don't know that I have any ideas, man, apart from just going and hugging people. But then I feel like if I just go like hug black people, then they're just gonna be like, he's just like going around hugging black people. Yeah. I don't know. Like I've been watching these protests and stuff, and I'm like, and I've almost like just want to go downtown and see how many people we can just like link arms with and just like walk, like no signs, no like political T-shirts or anything, just like walk and pray or walk and just be together. You know what I mean? Like that's just the raw kind of like emotion or inclination, but I don't know. It just sounds kind of cheesy at the same time. So I'm like trying to think of something else we can do.
70s Coca-Cola commercial.
Yeah. Mermaids. Mermaid lives matter.
I just think the moment we stop trying to like immediately form groups for a movement and just really just like a whole bunch of people, no names, no sort of like immediate classifications just walk up and say, "Hey, we people want change,"
Yeah.
and just like that, I think would be a whole lot healthier. But at the same time, like it's really hard just to rally behind, "Hey, we're people." So
Do you feel like the majority of people like are kind of like the way this discussion is going, or like wait for the facts kind of things, or like blue lives matter, black lives matter, all lives matter? Do you think most people are like that, and it's just like the kind of majority or minority of people that are pushing that, or maybe it's media inspired, or what do you think?
if I'm being honest, I think most people just don't care. Like most people, whenever they go on their daily lives, they see this news and they're like, "Oh man, this is bad."
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it doesn't affect my life, I'm gonna keep going. And I would say that's probably the larger group there. But there's still a significant amount of people who I think immediately kind of no. I think the people who do go with the media, they're more outspoken than the people who have a more rational state of mind, you know, because like they are like what you were saying, or what you were saying, sorry, excuse my English. They're just waiting, you know, they're simply waiting, and just because they're not saying anything, it doesn't mean like they have a view. They're just holding on, and then whenever they get all the facts, that's when they start talking, you know, that's
Mm-hmm.
when they start like throwing their ideas out there. But for now, we only have people who are shouting about what's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
and because they're the only ones talking, that's why it seems so much more significant. It's like the same thing whenever like we were, or whenever like, you know, transgender and like just the LGBT community started kind of like blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're only like 3% of the population, but because they were talking about it like over and over again, and like no one else was kind of like either, that's why it blew up. And of course, you know, they got other people who didn't consider themselves, you know, homosexual or transgenders,
Mm-hmm.
kind of supporting them, but it's because they were talking. It's because like they were the only ones speaking why it even became what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not directly connected, but somewhat similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. It makes I know when I see conversations happening on Twitter a lot of times, like around a specific hashtag or something like that, that's probably controversial. A lot of times I'll just like kind of lurk, and just like read, but I won't jump in there. I won't jump in there and like, yeah, but what about this thing that happened, or maybe we should just hold on a little while before we judge it. But maybe I'll be a little more vocal in that regard. I've talked about, I flirted with the idea of doing kind of politics and stuff on my channel, just like vlog style stuff. Maybe I'll do some more of that and just just put things out there, because we see a lot of misinformation. Somebody in the chat was asked, Raptor asked, why is the world so violent? And the world is violent. But one thing that we don't talk about much is like in the U.S., violent crime stats are like they've been plummeting since like the 70s or something like that. So like that's something to celebrate, and we don't really talk about it much. And if we all we do is watch the news like every night, all we're just gonna see like the bad news. You know what I mean? The stuff that
Hmm.
kind of grips you emotionally, and that'll get you to click on the website or whatever. So I don't know. I think you're right about being more vocal. I think I'll try to take that to heart as I'm hugging people.
Look at all the black people.
Yeah. My
And bring it in.
yeah. There's a guy that does that. Have you seen him? He wears a T-shirt that says like "free hugs" or whatever, and he
Yeah.
just goes around hugging people. I like that. But Paranoid, he made a good point, and this is a good segue into the next topic, which is related to this one. He said, "Where'd it go? Where'd it go?" He said, "Forgive me, I'm going to be paraphrasing because it's already past where I can see." But he said basically, if we can't expect things to change if we keep pushing God out of our lives and out of the nation and stuff like that. So I think that is dead on, man. We I wrote an article for their website, sacredgaming.com. I wrote an article called "The Day
Where'd you get a
Adam."
sponsorship with them?
Yeah, I should.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah, they're like
don't
so
don't
much
mention
money
you
in that
wrote it. Don't
organization.
don't mention. Just say, hey, there's
Yeah.
this article I read. You know.
But in the article, I've been wrestling with, anytime something tragic like this happens, you're like, God, why is this happening? And you pray for God to like keep people safe and to calm the tensions and everything. Yeah, I think so, Joe. Links in the chat if you want to read it. But I'm like, why is this happening? why do bad things happen? Why are people motivated to hate like this? And why are we so easily divided? And I was thinking about how ever since humanity's day one with Adam, when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden and God kicked them out and cursed them, the world was broken. You know, they left perfection and unity with God and a daily walk with God, and they were kicked out of it, and sin entered the world, and ever since then the world's been spinning, and we're on a trajectory to, you know, to destruction. And I can't remember the scripture now. I think it was Galatians 5 that talks about sin entered the world and death entered the world through one man, Adam. And then it goes on to say later that because sin entered the world through one man, it is basically paid for by one man, Jesus, his perfection and his righteousness. And it's like, you know, I'm like, what can we do to fix all these things? And why are all these things happening? And this is terrible. And I'm like, it's just the world is broken. Like, why do broken people do broken things? And the answer is it's because the world is broken, and it was broken by sin. And the only answer to sin is Jesus. And like, that's so like basic and fundamental sounding and almost like a Jesus juke. But
Like
it's
drop the
like,
mic.
yeah. But it's the only answer. You know, it's the only real answer. Like, I think I talk in the article about we look to politicians for help, and we look to the justice system um, for justice and relief, and we come up wanting every time. You know, they just come up lacking and not unsatisfied, and it's like the answer is it just is Jesus. There's like there's no other answer. We have to know Jesus, and the people that don't know Jesus, they need to know Jesus. I don't know. You guys read the article. What do y'all think? Agree? Disagree?
Oh, definitely. 'Cause it seems like even like with Adam and Eve, and then it's not even like one generation later where there's like a brother murdering a brother. Like that,
Yeah.
that seems crazy to me. Like everything was perfect, like
Mm-hmm.
as perfect as it could get, and then there's sin, and then the next generation, it's one. This is the older brother killing the younger brother, and like it. It's difficult to think about. It's like things could have been so much better. um, And I think the part of the faith of Christianity is that things will be better. That
Mm-hmm.
the return of Jesus and will return the world or bring a new world and fix all these problems that we've been having.
True.
And that is like just the overall origin, the moment, Adam and Eve, decided to take that path. They immediately just, like, the world was in ruin. That was it. And I'm a firm believer in, if we did have we focused much more on the aspect, or just Jesus Christ in general, I think we honestly would be a whole lot better. But like, the thing is that we feel like there's all these other solutions to take, all these other steps we need to make, and not a single one of them have really ended in success. It's the moment that we do decide, even in our personal lives, to become more fixated on the one who brings that salvation, that it really does become better. And that's even something that, like, I'm struggling with off and on. I feel like there's so many different ways that I could approach, like, just simple artifacts in my life. And like, whenever I finally break down and like, yeah, my eyes open, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is the solution, and I knew the whole time. But like, it's just it's crazy to think about that. Our human nature, we're always wanting to, like, build and create things on our own. But when you've already got the structure that supplements your needs, what's the point of us trying to build our own towers? Um,
Yeah, good point. All you need is Jesus. I know that sounds like easier said than done, and it is, but
it's definitely,
you know, even like for a baby Christian, it's kind of like you read the chapter about the gifts of the Spirit, and none of that is like vengeance and, you know, revenge and hate. It's love, patience, peace, long suffering, kindness. You know, whatever they all are, they're all like positive things. And the Bible says, "Against these things there is no law," and the greatest of these is love. And it's like, if you know Jesus and you're getting to know Jesus and you're on that path, those spiritual gifts that you start exhibiting, they're like 100% positive for the world. You know, like the world needs more love, right? And the world needs more long suffering and kindness. So it's it's like a byproduct of knowing Jesus. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you're watching the stream and you're not a Christian or a person of faith in any way. It's like it might just sound. It probably sounds crazy to you, and that's okay. But it's the reality that we walk in. And we, like Clee said, we can look for all these other solutions. And to me, it's like it's almost like you got like a gusher of a gunshot wound or something like that, and you try to put a Band-Aid on it. You know, all these other measures are so temporary, and our Davis
Yeah, totally unserious.
and our weapons, our enemy and our battleground, our weapons are not of this world. You know, so I guess my conclusion is we need to know Jesus, and we need to pray that everybody else would come to know Christ as well. Talk about heavy. Paranoid was like, I'm sorry if this is too heavy, but this. And, okay, let's just go. Let's just go.
Lightweight, bro. Lightweight. No.
It's an easy burden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let us know in the chat what your thoughts are. You guys have any other thoughts on that topic?
I think just a point that I want to reiterate is that, you know, Jesus is the solution. Like he always is and always will be. Mm-hmm. But, you know, just because he is the solution, it doesn't mean it's an easy life to walk. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize is, like, even though, you know, he grants you this peace, he grants you like so much like calmness and understanding. Like being a Christian, being I'm not talking about American Christianity. I'm talking about being a Christian is like one of the you know, it's the hardest life you can possibly live, because it's really just you're dying to yourself, and it doesn't like and in being truthful, not everyone can do it. So though the solution is Jesus Christ, it's going to be one of the largest commitments you've ever had in your entire life.
It's true. Don't get sold on a prosperity gospel, man. Because there's Coptic Christians that lost their heads on Libyan beaches for following Christ, and that ain't prosperity gospel. You know, it can be a hard life. More than likely will be hard at times. You know, especially if you're walking it the way you're supposed to be. You're gonna be hated by the world. You're gonna be hated by different religious groups and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like hard. It's warring with your own fleshly nature every day.
And the moment you're comfortable is the moment you're not living the life you should be.
As soon as I get one more gold toilet in my house, I feel like I'll be set.
Yeah. Like now I'll go and like do what I'm supposed to. You know, after I do this, after I do that.
Oh man, well, you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I want to hug a white guy.
Hashtag hug a white guy.
All right. Well, I've certainly enjoyed myself. I want to thank you guys for being on the stream, as always. Clee, it's been a while since you've been on.
Yeah, it has been a hot minute. Thank you for having me back. A couple of times because I was a detriment. My bad. But, but anytime in the future, I will try and be far more attentive than I have in the past.
Yeah, you're good, man. You're good. We three-manned it tonight, fellas. Feels good. We don't need no stinking JA. There it is. Oh, Veracity's giving everybody hugs.
I love it.
Everybody gets a hug in the chat. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you, Ocho and Clee, again for being on the stream. And this will be up live on this channel right here. It'll be live as soon as Judgment wakes up, drinks his Ensure, and and logs into his. He probably has to have his kid log into his YouTube account and do all his for him. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this week. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for watching.